E3 2017 is just around the corner, so you better be prepared for some amazing trailers, high promises, and a mountain of manure. There's also the chance of something good being announced, or at least something to pine over until you'll eventually be disappointed by it. Whatever the case, this is the top 7 E3 2017 preview. A little snippet, a glance into the future, if you will, of what will be announced for certain. And I mean, I'm completely sure about this. I do, as you know, have psychic powers at E3 2017. But first, I'd like to give a small mention to Electronic Arts, who isn't at E3 because they have their own thing called EA Play, and they will announce a FIFA game that to this day continues to not have rocket launchers. However, I know that some people are making well, it's not a FIFA game, it's a management game that does have rocket launchers, so there's that. That being said, let's get this started with number 7, the Guild 3 release date. Now, I know that the amount of people that actually care about this game can neatly fit into a small living room if they lose some weight, but the Guild 3 is a game I very much look forward to, and at this E3 the release date will positively be announced. And it's probably gonna be 2018, not 2017, even though I kept hoping it would be released this year, like I sort of thought it was gonna be released last year, but it wasn't. But the important thing is that this game is being made. There's been playable builds of it shown to the press for the last 2 years, and as long as they manage to not have it be a complete another buggy mess like Venice was from the Guild 2, it may be a great game. For those who don't know, the Guild is a series comparable in some way to The Sims, but with actual gameplay, where you actually do stuff and have statistics that aren't just there because otherwise you'd set yourself on fire while cooking. And you have a political system, you have an economical system, you have a deep life simulator that just so happens to tie into the Middle Ages and usually consists of you taking up a trade, running a business, plotting to overthrow your enemies, becoming mayor, executing people, going to duels, shooting people in duels, illegally killing them, and many more. I should really do a show about this series. Number 6. Death Stranding will be shown with no gameplay again. Hideo Kojima's new game is shaping up to be... honestly, I have no clue. He keeps saying things like the title is supposed to signify that people are stranded together, like they're tied with strands, so that's where stranding comes from, and there's death too, and there's tentacle tanks, and that guy from Hannibal, whose name I can't pronounce, looking all sexy with that black stuff on him, and there's a naked Norman Reedus. And some people sort of thought that the first 2 trailers actually sync up and the baby shifts from one to the other at the same time, but you actually have to start one of the trailers later because otherwise it won't sync up, almost like you're digging a bit too much into it this time. It's probably not gonna be a Phantom Pain situation. And at this E3 we'll probably see another trailer because, let's face it, they probably did not manage to make a completely new game from the ground up using brand new technology in the time from when Kojima was fired and until now. You're gonna get a new trailer with more vagueness in it, more hype, probably more naked Norman Reedus, which we can all agree is a good thing, and more of a sense that you have no idea what's going on or why, just that it's probably gonna be weird and interesting in that Hideo, quotation marks, man who decided to put melting ice cubes in real time into Metal Gear Solid 2 for no other purpose than because ice cubes would melt, and quotation marks Kojima. Wait, number 5. Red Dead Redemption 2's multiplayer will have microtransactions. The game may have been delayed up until 2018, but you know it's gonna have a multiplayer mode. It cannot have one after the absolute monstrous revenue, and by revenue I mean 99% profit margin, that GTA Online is bringing in. And you know how it's making those profits, right? It's because the economy is so goddamn Okay, pause for a moment. YouTube has told us that we swear too much in these shows, so I should probably try and cut down on them. And I actually mean that they sent us an email and said, you swear too much in these shows, they contain too much profanity. So fill in the blanks with what I wanted to say. That you know what I wanted to say, right? Even bleeping it makes no sense. You know what I was gonna say. The economy is skewed in such a way that prices keep going up, but the methods of actually making money in-game without being a cheater, without being a hacker, are dwindling, not keeping up, and are basically boring as they can be. And lo and behold, Red Dead Redemption 2's multiplayer will be great. Probably, I mean, you saw the show where I said that GTA Online's multiplayer is not exactly as good as it could be. So they actually may make some advancements in terms of the fun you can have in Red Dead Redemption 2's multiplayer, but expect the economy to be completely topsy-turvy. And you're probably gonna have to buy, using real-world money, you're gonna have to buy something like, I don't know, treasury notes, war bonds, Lincoln pennies. Was Lincoln alive back then? I don't know. Or something of that order in order to actually get the stuff you would want in-game. I really look forward to the horse customization. Being able to put a spoiler on a horse would be amazing. Horse armor is gonna be in there. It's gonna be in there. Though the heists will probably be more interesting because while you're riding a horse, you're not just driving a car with really wonky physics for half an hour constantly because one of you keeps dying along the way. Number 4. A new Metroid game will probably not be announced. You gotta have to face it, Nintendo really does have it out against this series. I don't know why. Metroid was one of its crowning achievements. Super Metroid is, to this day, one of the greatest games ever made. The 3D Metroids, they are fantastic. The first one especially, Metroid Prime, is amazing. The other M, not so much. Not so much. And the less said about Federation Force, the better. And since the Switch has no games, well, it does have two, you would think that maybe Nintendo would try and at least fill it up with its core best games, its best series, its most recognizable franchises, and Metroid is one of them. But they won't, because they kinda don't like the series. Nintendo kinda doesn't like a lot of things. Nintendo, you kinda have to face it, as a developer, they really don't like much of their audience, do they? Or parts of the industry, mostly the people they used to work with and shafted repeatedly, constantly over the years. So don't expect a Metroid game, because that would be actually cool, unless they add weapon degradation to that one too. Number 3. Evil Within 2. It's been a couple of years since the last one was released. The last Resident Evil game did not... it was sure nice, and it proved that horror games, good ones, can sell like hotcakes. So yeah, Bethesda's probably cooking up another one of those with the creator of the original Resident Evil series. Why wouldn't they? It's a franchise they can rush out to the market and not give any marketing to, and then be surprised when it flops. Even though the game is good, even though it's a great game, even though it's one of the best spiritual sequels we ever got to System Shock. And that's something that no IGN review can change. Yes, I am talking about Prey. So expect maybe an Evil Within 2, maybe. Number 2. The Xbox Scorpio will run on a pair of Titan XPs. As you may know, when the Xbox One was announced and showed to the public at E3, it didn't sort of actually exist yet. All the demos you saw, all the games being played, even the ones at Conan O'Brien's show, those were running off a PC with 2 Titan X's or 2 Titan Blacks. They were not running off any sort of Xbox hardware. They were just the PC version of a game which was never released on a PC. But this time, yeah, sure, they got more powerful hardware. They have DirectX 12 encoded into the actual hardware. They have DirectX 12 instructions coded in the hardware of the new GPU. and the same inefficient Jaguar 8-core, which is bulldozer based CPU, the one that's not all that good. So odds are that some of the demonstrations you'll see at E3 from the Xbox Scorpio will be running off a PC with 2 Titan XPs or maybe even Radeon Vegas hidden somewhere beneath a shelf, upon which lies the Xbox Scorpio, plugged in, powered on, but not connected to the actual display again. And the number one thing at E3 2017 will be the new Wolfenstein, and it will have Nazis in space. Yes, I know the last one had Nazis on the moon, so they technically kind of were in space, but this one will be about the transplanetary Nazi empire that they have to take down. It will have space Nazis. It will probably have a moon Führer. And I hope to God somewhere in there will be a joke about Mel Brooks' History of the World with Jews in space. I know that movie was a joke, but I do hope he makes it. Bethesda and Machine Games will probably announce a brand new Wolfenstein game, one that will continue the story with whatever happened to Blazkowicz at the end. Maybe this time one whose story doesn't feel so rushed or doesn't have stuff obviously cut out of it, to the point where you remember you had the mission to go underwater and you did, and it was kind of pointless. They could have just done it with a cinematic because you didn't do anything in there. And considering the last one was a big success, yeah, they're probably gonna have a bigger budget with this one, more time, more resources, more of everything to make a better game. And hopefully this time Bethesda will not completely misunderstand how to market it. Hopefully. Well, that'll be the top 7 stuff that's probably gonna happen at E3. Maybe not, who knows, I don't care. I just made this show because I didn't have any better ideas. And hey, E3 is just around the corner, and you know, those clicks, we kind of need those clicks. And to stop swearing and presenting violent video games. Because as we all know, it was violent video games that caused the YouTube ad apocalypse and not YouTube promoting Nazis.